Well, with me as guest co-host this morning, in from Chicago, is Jim Reynolds, a friend of our show. He's the co-founder, CEO, and chairman of investment bank Loop Capital Markets, a significant underwriter of municipal debt nationwide. Hey, Jim.
Hey, Betty. Good morning.
And you know what I wanted to say to you a long time ago?
What?
Is that we just love you so much, we actually named our show after your firm. I'm just kidding.
I did notice that in the Loop. It's very catchy and I think very appropriate. I have no problem remembering the name of your show.
Okay. All right. So the last time you were on, I think it was back in June. A lot has happened since then, right?
Yes.
We've had regulatory reform passed.
Yes.
So we had a raft of data. We do have a raft of data that's pretty bad on the economy.
We do.
And we're all wondering about what's headed, where are we headed next?
Yep.
So how do you feel? I mean, you've been traveling around all over the country.
Yep.
How do you feel about this economy?
Well, a lot of my views, Betty, are based sort of on, on the ground, talking to governors, mayors, CEOs, CFOs, treasurers, and obviously looking at the macroeconomic data. When we were here last in June, FinReg was a big deal,
right.
and confusion reigned, and the economic data was sort of a mixed bag. FinReg is still sort of...
FinReg meaning financial regulation.
Financial regulation. And certainly it's been passed. We're going to see how it's implemented. It's still but it wasn't as bad as we thought. So Wall Street, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. My
views there. On the economy, I think when we talked in June, the concept of a double dip was sort of far-fetched. And you thought those prognosticators that spoke in that manner were being a little excessive.
Right.
Now it's real.
Yeah.
And the economic data that we've seen lately, particularly today, we've got employment coming out, payrolls, I think really foretell a bona fide concern and fear about a double dip.
Well, do you fear a double dip?
I absolutely do. There's no doubt. And I think anybody that's in the marketplace, really in the marketplace, has to be concerned about it. Now, whether you foretell some sort of a significant depression or whether or not your views on deflation are certainly those are warrant. They do have significance, but a double dip, I think, is certainly a
but from what you've been, the people you've been talking to, just and yourself dealing with, obviously the municipalities.
Right.
Does it feel like it's going to be a mild double dip? Does it seem that way, or not?
Well, it's a mixed bag. When you're in Washington looking at it from a macro view, a mild double dip might be GDP in the 2%, 1.5%, 1%. I'm not where Rubini is.
Right.
But when you're in the trenches with municipalities, when you're a governor and you're a mayor and you're a councilman, and the jobless, just your community of joblessness grows and grows and grows, it takes a much heightened level of significance. So it is very significant at the state and local level, much more so than it's really the impression you get from D.C.
Yeah.
As you know, the municipalities are hurting, and unless jobs come back into this equation, it's going to be very difficult.
Wall Street, though, was hiring.
Yeah.
Is hiring. Well, I mean, maybe not as much anymore, but I mean, was it premature that they were hiring before?
Yeah. When we talked, Betty Liu, when we talked right about the end of the first quarter and a little bit last year, the trading profits from the Wall Street banks, particularly the trading profits, were off the charts.
Yeah.
Second quarter this year, Goldman. First quarter this year, J.P. Morgan, all the trading banks, particularly last year and coming in early into this one, had trading profits that were extremely high. What we're seeing now is a total reversal in that. When you look at, particularly in the fixed income markets, when you look at trading markets now, they're very stagnant. There's low volatility. And so those earnings that were driven by trading are definitely being dampened.
Right. And therefore hiring, compensation, all of that.
I think that's impacted significantly on the downside.